Hello everybody. Shri Kumarswami College Ausa, State Maharashtra, India welcomes all the honorable dignitaries and participants here at the virtual platform for the International E-Conference on the topic AI Literacy. Shri Kumarswami College Ausa organizes a series of national and international webinars and conferences. The reason behind it is to impart knowledge of different topics and subjects to participants such as students, researchers, teachers, and those who are in need of knowledge of different topics and subjects. Sri Kumarswami College Ausa is affiliated to Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, Nanded. The college is conducting many innovative activities, and it is due to Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar Sir, who is the chief organizer of this international e-conference. So, as the presiding authority, I welcome you, sir. Today, I feel immense pleasure to announce that we have the chief guest and keynote speaker, Honorable Chrissy Bencivenga, ma'am, from West Babylon, United States, among us, who is going to deliver a lecture on the topic AI literacy. So, on behalf of the organizing committee of the International E-Conference and Sri Kumarswami College Ausa, I heartily welcome you, ma'am, as the keynote speaker. I also welcome all the delegates for this International E-Conference. Before actual keynote speech, I would like to invite Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar Sir for his introductory speech. Please, sir, welcome.
Thank you, Professor Karar sir, and today's resource person and the speaker of this session, today's international conference, Honorable Chrissy ma'am, and all the participants, those who are joined here, I welcome all of you. As you are knowing that the resource persons from all over the globe are supporting us and try to share their knowledge on various topics as per their interest. In such a series, today's resource person will speak upon on AI literacy. As you are knowing that AI literacy, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these are the facts which we have to learn more about it from various resource person. We should be literate by using artificial intelligence purposefully with having some objective so that it should give a correct knowledge or correct output to us. So I welcome to you, Christy ma'am. And from the starting, you are so cooperative that you are taking care of noting timing, all these things, so that you have perfectly joined. We welcome you and all the participants, those who are eagerly listen, will to eagerly listen to you. Thank you, and we will continue with your speech. Before that, Prakash Karad sir will announce that.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite today's honorable keynote speaker, Chrissy Bencivenga, ma'am, for her keynote address. Please, ma'am, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. The pronunciation on my name was perfect. I appreciate it so much. I am Chrissy. Thank you, Dr. Badkar, for inviting me to this event. What an exciting time when we all get together in the world and there's 10.5 hours distance between us. I'm in my morning right now. And I'm just so happy and honored to be here. I want to tell you a little bit about my story, why AI, what led to me wanting to learn AI. And when I speak about AI, I'm specifically speaking about generative AI. AI has been around for a very long time. We've been using it all the time. If you use Siri, if you have an electric car, if I mean, it's so vast and it's been creeping into our society little by little, and we haven't even realized it. For me, the biggest way it impacted my life was when I was in graduate school. I was having all of my papers and all of my articles and all of my books read to me. It was about 4 years ago, and I had returned to grad school at 40, and we were just entering a pandemic. And I had a lot of time. Incidentally, I was going through a divorce at the time. So picture it. I'm going through this major, major life change. I just split from a 12-year relationship. I had been working in nonprofits as an administrative assistant. I never really had a path to excel my career. I was very complacent in the years before the pandemic. I had about 8 years of infertility. Now, if you know what that's like for a couple to go through, for people to go through, and I don't mention this because I want you to feel empathy for me, because everything that's happened in my life has led me to where I am right now. And I absolutely love where I am right now. But for many years, as an undiagnosed neurodivergent, and someone who battled eating disorders, and someone who just couldn't get it together. I was very smart. I did great in school when I applied myself, but I could not get it together. And I don't know if this resonates with anyone out there, but I lived most of my life feeling like I was doing something wrong, no matter what I was doing. If I was getting called in to speak with a teacher, I just thought they were going to yell at me. If I was getting called in to speak to the boss, my boss, I felt like they were always going to yell at me. Like something, I always felt like I was doing something wrong. Now I know, with my recent diagnosis of ADHD and neurodivergence and other learning disabilities, that I was just living in a linear world, and I'm a non-linear thinker. So that is basically, it's not good, it's not bad. I love it. I love embracing my non-linear thought patterns. But when you are in, especially the workforce, it is very difficult. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. So now we are going into a pandemic, and I'm about to enter my second semester of grad school and going through a divorce. I was an essential worker because I worked with people with developmental disabilities for an organization, a nonprofit. I had done that for 10 years. And now I was going to get my master's in human resources, and I was going to break through that glass ceiling. I was going to be important. I was going to be so important. I was going to make money, and I was going to be important. And that's all I cared about, because I had taken a big hit. So I decided to take the time in the pandemic to become pretty reclusive. And I studied all the time. And I used audiobooks. I didn't know then that I was an audio learner, but I knew that if I was reading, it took me 10 times as long to understand the information as if it came through my ears. So I started using Audible and Libby and all these different, and Speechify, which is a text to speech. That brings me back to my first point about AI. Speechify changed my life. I was now able to take all of these articles. I was taking screenshots of my textbooks and having it read to me. It was a game changer. All of a sudden, the Chrissy who thought she wasn't smart enough, wasn't good enough, couldn't keep up enough, I knew things now. I was able to speak about it. So you can see this, the pandemic for me, for a lot of people, it was fear. For about me, it was change in my life. So there's something else that happened during the pandemic. I couldn't go to the gym anymore. And I had just recently lost a lot of weight because I started to really get into self-care. I was no longer battling the eating disorders that I used to deal with when I was younger. And I had lost 100 pounds through diet and exercise. So here I am in the pandemic and I can't work out. What am I going to do? I can't go to the gym. I was so afraid that I wouldn't stay healthy. So my friend was in a yoga studio at the time, and her yoga studio was offering a very good discount for unlimited Zoom yoga. And I must say I was an atheist at the time. I did not subscribe to any religion. I grew up Catholic, and I never felt a deep connection with any kind of source or energy. I didn't feel it. So I started doing yoga almost every day during the pandemic. And then all of a sudden, the meditations and the shavasana started making me feel energized. And I didn't even realize it was happening. But all of a sudden, I don't know if this ever happened to you, where the information you're supposed to get in life finds you, right? So I would go online and all of a sudden I would see a lot of spirituality information and books. And then I started dating somebody who was spiritual. And all of a sudden, I was introduced to this world that I didn't even know existed. Because if I had listened to any of these spiritual teachers, like Sadhguru, if I had listened to any of these spiritual teachers before I had started to do yoga and started meditating, before I started meditating, I would not have been open to the messages that were coming to me. So with my awakening and my pandemic came a lot of loss. As I changed, people fell away. My whole life was now, I was living with my father. I still live with my father. He's my best friend. He's 80 years old. I'll talk about him in a little bit. But I live with my father and my dog, and I have this really small world now. And before that, I had this big family, and I had nieces and nephews, and I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. It was very hard for me to accept the fact that I was a female without children in a world that seemed like everybody had a family. And I was in a marriage that wasn't really aligned with me. It's not, it was, and not in a judgment way, but we were young when we got together, and now our personalities didn't align because we. So I found myself at a crossroads. What is my life going to be about? And this is the funny part, because I went on to graduate with an HR master's and became a recruiter for the nonprofit that I worked for. I was so excited. This was it. I'm like, I'm a recruiter. I'm so cool. I was very excited about it. I wanted to be a professional so bad. I wanted to feel worth so much. So as I started recruiting, I started figuring out how I could climb the ladder, the organizational ladder. I was almost done with grad school now. And actually, I was done. And then I was about to enter a certificate program in leadership and diversity and inclusion. And I made it my mission to tell everybody in the organization that I had a master's degree, that I was going to be bringing coaching and mentoring to our small nonprofit on Long Island, New York. I was giving books to the president, the vice presidents. I was slightly annoying, but I knew that I needed to be in people's faces to move up. So I got myself on every committee. I told everyone that I was interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, it's going to come back into play when I talk about AI in a little bit, but I'm going to say DEI a lot. And I don't know if this is a term that's used where you are in your part of the world, but in my part of the world, we were going through a lot of changes where a lot of people with white privilege were turning around and looking at themselves and saying, hey, maybe the world isn't so fair. So it actually was a beautiful time to be in school in the United States. So I went on to learn and get this certificate. And this is the part that I want to stress. before I had learned diversity, equity, and inclusion, I was using diversity, equity, and inclusion as a way to climb the ladder. I didn't feel that I really needed to make a difference. I knew it was a noble cause, but I did not feel connected to it. It was only until I started interviewing candidates from low income families in my field. We had to hire people to work for healthcare. We needed to hire people to care for people with developmental disabilities. And that means changing and showering them. And it's a very intimate, difficult job. And I noticed that all the people coming were people who were Black and brown and people of different educational backgrounds than me. And they were not polished and they did not know how to go on an interview. And I was sending them to the hiring managers who were predominantly white. And I worked for an organization, I don't know, maybe you've heard about the United States and the demographics of the United States, but a lot of the power is concentrated in the top white male population. And I just couldn't, and a lot of the middle management were white females. And then there was everybody else who was coming in the organization. So if you really think about it, we looked from the outside like a very diverse organization. But when you look at the hierarchy of where people are, it was very, very segregated. And I started to feel it. I started to feel it when I was speaking to candidates and I told them about that we're trying to put in programs to promote people without degrees and give them certifications and help them with school. And I was talking about how much of an ally we were to the cause. And I didn't feel it. So as I started to grow and learn and recognize my own biases, that's where it all changed for me. I recognized that I was biased. This white liberal woman from Long Island, I'm like, I didn't think I had anything to work on. Clearly, I wasn't prejudiced. Well, I was, and I didn't realize it because it's called unconscious bias. So through my DEI schooling, it opened up my mind. And I was like, oh my God, the world is racist. And everyone was like, yeah, we know. Or other people were like, that's just a cop out. People need to work harder. And I was in the middle of all this. And I'm a person who doesn't even like conflict. I didn't back then. But I couldn't keep it inside. I was so excited about what I was learning. So two things were happening. I was more excited about hanging out with leadership and being an executive and talking about DEI than I was about doing my job. I'm a nonlinear thinker and I can't do data entry very well. I do not like, honestly, it's going to be funny. I'm not a very technological person, even though I love AI. I did not want to sit and just go on Indeed and find resumes and read them. I could barely read, right? I need everything read to me. So I was a fish out of water in my actual position, but I wanted to be leadership and I knew I had what it took to be leadership. But I'm 40 something years old and many other people were like, you can't just skip all those years of learning about HR. You can't just be a director now when you don't even know how to do an incident report. And I'm like, I don't think I can put in these years, right? So I just kept trying to fast track my career. So I didn't spend much time. And I also, as a neurodivergent with ADHD, I have time blindness. So while I was speaking out against racism in my New York, Long Island nonprofit, which is predominantly white at the top, I was also messing up on my job and flexing my time because the truth is I had to work at nighttime to put in my background checks for candidates. And I couldn't do that in the office while I was trying to be seen and heard. So I was doing something wrong. And then when you're speaking out against systems that exist and also doing something wrong, you really put yourself in the line of fire. So I would say about this time last year, I went into the CEO's office and I handed him a book. It's called White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. It's actually about why white people don't like talking about racism because they internalize it and then they feel shame because we were raised in a very classist system. Most of us are. Humans are very we separate each other through status. And I brought him this book and he was very just get this feeling that they don't really have empathy for the people of color coming into our society and not recognizing the difficulties that they endure in life. The candidates that I had couldn't get driver's licenses. They were taking care of their families. They were dealing with domestic abuse situations. It was very dire for them. And we needed people to hire. And we wanted to give them a job, but also it was very difficult for the hiring managers to handle all of their personal issues. So in my mind, I wasn't able to solve it because these were organizational issues, but I couldn't not talk about it. So I gave the CEO the book and I said, thank you. I'll talk to you soon. And if you start bringing a DEI program to the agency, I want to be a person who heads it up because I'm getting my certificate. You know, I was always plugging myself, trying to climb the corporate ladder. And then a week later, I was fired. I was caught flexing my time and I was not offered any coaching or a performance review or anything. I was just fired. And I think my boss at the time knew that I did not belong in the agency and she knew that I could get unemployment and I would be super happy. So here I am, once again, having to reinvent myself. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I literally went to the only thing that I could do. I meditated every day because I had no drive anymore, no purpose. I felt like everything, once again, the rug had been pulled under me and now it's time. Chrissy, it's sink or swim time. So I meditated every day for a passion because I had no passion. Incidentally, I was scrolling Instagram a lot. I wasn't yet really on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a lot of reading and I don't like reading, but I am a singer and I sing in bars and restaurants, cover songs, right? Other people's music. I do acoustic music and I'm always on Instagram promoting that. So on my Instagram, I would always see ads for AI. Always, always, always. And I was like, oh, I don't want to learn about this. This is too much. I'm like, did I not just get a master's degree? I cannot learn more. And these ads for AI, they are scary. They are like, you're not going to lose your job to AI or a robot. You're going to lose your job to someone who knows AI. And they're not wrong, but they're scary. They're so scary. And I didn't want to learn. I was like, what? Until one day, it was actually just a little, like a month and a half ago. I woke up and it hit me from all the meditating. The day before I saw a quote. The quote was, the magic you've been looking for is in the work you've been avoiding. It's just a random Instagram quote. It's a self-help. I think his name's Deepan. Don't quote me on that, but it was a good quote. And the one thing that I was avoiding was anything AI because it was so overwhelming. So then I woke up the next day and I started learning AI. And actually, I will say, you just had Anya on, the person who speaks about heart math. And I had a call, like a mentorship call with her. And I told her about my vision. And Anya's amazing. She will build anybody up. She's like, Chrissy, you are a star seed. You have to get your message out there. You have all this intelligence and energy and love. Just get out there. And I was like, okay, Anya, I'm going to do it. So that night, I was never able to write lyrics, but I decided for the first time ever to write a song with the help of AI. I had it write lyrics for me about the workforce. And it was a song that I would eventually sing in the workforce. And if you want, I will sing a little of it for you today. But I know 4 chords on a ukulele, and I played my 4 chords, and I read the words that the computer was giving me, and I came up with this great song. It's actually on my
We love
LinkedIn
to
if you want
hear
to see
your
me
song.
playing. I thought you might, and I definitely will play it in a little bit. How are we on time? We're good? All right, good, because I have to tell you all about AI now. So, Dr. Bekar, I'm going to ask you to give me like a thumbs up when we need to wrap up at about 5 minutes too, okay? Perfect. Okay, good, because I can talk forever. I love to talk. I'll give you my song in a little bit. So I wrote this song, and it's all about the workforce, how I don't belong in it, how it's all people. It's not people over profits, it's profits over people. And it sounds very idealistic. And most business people are like, but that's not realistic. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to live in this world of energy and love because I meditate, right? It brought me to that place. And at this point, I have done so much self-love work and work on myself that I just told everyone around me energetically that I wait for the invitation now. I'm not for everybody, but the people that really enjoy my work and the way I do things, they love me. They are gravitating towards me. So there's this world of energy that Anya is speaking about in the business that many people for so long have been ignoring. We've all been ignoring our intuition. And my intuition tells me, I woke up one day and I said, I was told, I don't know, a voice in my head, you have to learn AI. And I was having this conversation with the universe, with whatever. I try not to label things, but it's an energetic conversation. And I was like, why do I have to learn AI? Why me? I just got out of master's program. I've been learning forever. Why me? And the voice said, because you're likable, because you're nice, because you're approachable. Because I've been spending my whole life as a neurodivergent trying to understand things, asking questions, being annoying. You should see me when I'm on the job training. I have a million questions. I have to write everything down. I'm a slower learner, but when I learn it, and I can give it back to you in many different ways. So we're going to start with AI, right? Why is there so much buzz about it? I'm going to start with a fact that's a little bit startling. And it is projected, and this was like a big wake-up call for me. It is projected to contribute to about, what's the word? I have dyscalculia. It's dyslexia of math. So I write down all the numbers, but I'm going to say 300 million jobs are going to be affected by AI. We know this, we understand this, but it still isn't lighting a fire under most. If you're in the academic space, maybe you're messing around with ChatGPT, you're using a little bit of the large language models here or there. But I go out into that real world when I'm off Zoom and when I'm off my Google Meets calls, nobody wants to speak about it. I do love attention. And I go into places, I'm like, hey, I'm learning AI. And people are like, okay, cool. They think I'm a person who's just learning programming and code and that I'm going to be a woman in tech, which is amazing. But that's not my skill set. My skill set is in no way, shape, or form in coding and creating these large language models. My skill set is in using it and learning it. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, because it is so freaking scary because you don't know where to get your information from. There are 8,000 newsletters. There are probably about 20,000 people online making courses, and you don't know which ones to listen to. And then there are people just telling you to copy and paste their prompts. Has everyone heard of prompts here? Right? Like, and I'm going to talk about it like I'm talking to people who've never even decided to do AI. So how I got started was I wrote that song. It was before I even had ChatGPT. I wrote the song in Google Bing. I'm sorry, Google Bard is separate. I wrote the song in Bing Copilot. So Microsoft, big deal company, right? Microsoft partners with OpenAI. OpenAI has ChatGPT. Microsoft now owns 49% of OpenAI. So they're like married at this point. They're making things together. And now with Microsoft 365 having a large language model on its, I don't even know what it's called, right? You open it up, Microsoft Edge. You open up Microsoft Edge, and now you see like it's just right there. You plug in your question and you get these extensive answers. So if you're not familiar what a large language model is, it is the most important thing that ChatGPT came out with last year, November of 2022. So a little over a year ago, right? In 2022. They came out with this. And I was one of the first people to use it, actually. Someone told me about it, and I was still a recruiter. And I'm like, I'm going to use it to solve all my recruiting problems. And I started using it for about a week, and then I was fired. So I never went back to ChatGPT. I'm like, I have no use for this. So fast forward, I started listening to a couple of podcasts. I had to ease myself in. And before I end, I want to say that there is a podcast, and if you are interested in listening or watching to an amazing podcast, it's called Everyday AI. Everyday AI with Jordan, Jordan, Wilson, Wilson. Jordan is phenomenal. It's like an online education, like a university for AI. He has 200 episodes. He does one every day, and he goes live on LinkedIn every morning. I'm there on LinkedIn every day, commenting, making connections with everyone else. It's an online community that led me to the courses that I'm going to speak about. So I'm currently in 4 courses. I'm in two courses to learn about the beginner AI, a Coursera course and an Upskillist course. Like, what is AI? Like, talking about generative AI, what it comes from. And it goes into some computer background in machine learning. It's a little bit over my head, but I understand it enough. For what I want to do, I don't need to know how to program an AI. I need to know how to speak to AI. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because I want to make this as simple as possible for you. I don't want you to get overwhelmed, and I want to help you niche down your AI instruction, because you can learn from what I did. So my first step was like, I need AI on my phone. I'm not on my laptop enough. I need AI on my phone. I'm an unemployed singer. How am I going to get it on my phone? AI really wasn't on your phone, right? So I searched the App Store, and I didn't know what I was doing yet. And I bought 2 apps, one chat on and one AI assist. I thought they were ChatGPT. I was like, I heard a couple months ago that ChatGPT did not have any apps. Lo and behold, they did, but I didn't have this information yet. So I bought these 2 apps. They were $40 for the year, right? $80 investment, fine. I started using them to write all my Instagram captions for my personal lifestyle Instagram. I wanted to put out content more quickly, and I just couldn't think of what to say. I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but I couldn't think of how to phrase it in a very catchy way that's going to resonate with people. I like to just speak, and I speak very conversationally, and that doesn't always translate when writing. So now I have this awesome writing assistant. I was hesitant at first, but I had written my song, and I told everyone that I had a large language model, a GPT, write the lyrics. I wasn't hiding anything. I have an awesome voice, and I have charisma. So I wasn't hiding that I was utilizing this. And then I started writing. And then even on LinkedIn, I make it very clear that I use a large language model to help perfect my writing. I need it to help me get my thoughts out in a succinct way. I am a person with ADHD. I get so distracted. I'm working on 8,000 projects at once, and I love that about me. Could you imagine what a large language model has done for me? When I have a million things on my list, and now I'm setting up a profile here, or I'm setting up that, and I can take something from LinkedIn, copy and paste it, put it in, and put what I need them to do. So what I started doing was I started talking to the large language model like it was my assistant, my legitimate assistant, like someone I'm working and co-creating with. And I say, I need more of this. I need you to put in, when I'm writing something, I need you to put in the part about where I was fired. I always say fired and not terminated or let go because it's a harsh word. And I want to normalize people effing up. And that's a curse word here. I don't want to say it, but I need to normalize people making mistakes, right? So I make so many mistakes all the time, and I just roll with it because is it really a mistake if it's something you've done? It's a learning opportunity. It's just not that big of a deal. And especially now that I'm spiritual, I really look at this world as a simulation. And I believe the person you might have had on the other day, it's that same idea of like we're in Earth school. We're here to learn. We're here to make mistakes and learn from them. And maybe we don't learn from them. We're human beings, and we need to love ourselves. We should. I don't want to say need or should, but it's really important that we love ourselves and everything we put out into the world, and just let others sit with it. You don't have to worry how others receive you. It's really a good practice to be yourself and let the chips fall where they may. It seems very painful when you're getting fired for being yourself, or you're going through a divorce for being yourself, or you're not getting the part in the High School Musical for being yourself. All those things that I went through. But it's worth it. It's worth it when you come to a place where you are really held and understood for who you are, because you do not accept people in your life who don't see and understand you. It's a beautiful place to be. And I've come to that. So my story is one of motivation. If you don't know what to do, my biggest advice to you, if you don't know what to do, is like get quiet and meditate and ask your higher self, whatever you want to call it, ask the energy, just clear your mind, because your mind isn't going to solve these problems. Your heart is. Remember, your mind isn't going to solve these problems. Your heart is. Our mind, actually, I think consciousness was my favorite part. And I could get into that, AI consciousness and human consciousness. The part that I love about all of the spirituality is I learned how to watch my thoughts from the outside. So when I'm trying to solve a problem using my human brain, the brain usually caused the problem. Do we usually go to the same person who caused the problem to solve the problem? No. But we do that for our brain. We try to think about the answers over and over until we're sick. Instead, what we really can do is just shut it down and create a void. We need that beauty in between thoughts for the magic to happen. And that's something that I've been able to tap into, the beauty in between thoughts. It's actually a documentary coming out if you want to look. I'm a founding member of the Octopus Movement. The Octopus Movement. It is a group of nonlinear thinkers who are using AI and using their brilliant brains, our brilliant brains, to solve world problems and to just solve the unsolvable, right? Because now we have AI. So I truly believe, and this sounds very esoteric of me and out there, that AI is the next, and I know Elon Musk talks about this, but AI is kind of like the next part of our evolution. And we can either be afraid of it or we can befriend it and learn how to talk to it. So what I really want you to understand is if you're afraid and if you're hesitant, just start by downloading 2 apps on your phone. One is Bing Copilot. That helped me out a lot. It's an app, Bing Copilot, Microsoft. You need a Microsoft account, but you do not have to have a paid version. It is completely free. Then ChatGPT does have an app, and I wish that I had downloaded it first and saved myself $80, but I did not. So you can learn from my mistakes. Go right to ChatGPT and download the app. Now you have this large language model on your phone. it's these GPTs are able to generate. So what GPTs do is they're a generative pre-trained transformer. That's a lot of technical jargon to tell you that it takes information and generates more. So it can take a song and generate more. Think of it as the world's largest autocomplete. You're typing a text, your phone is about to finish the sentence for you. Instead, it's going to finish the essay for you. But we don't always want to go that route. We're educators here, right? We don't want it to write an essay that we don't have the intellectual knowledge of having. You're going to write that essay. You're going to write the essay for school. You're going to write the essay wherever. And then your teacher or someone in your field is going to ask about it. And you're going to not know how to talk about it. What's the point of it? What is the point? So we get hung up. Oh, cheating. Oh, no. Deep fakes. Oh, no. What does it matter? Why do we care? It's a tool for people with learning disabilities to learn more. That sounds like a great idea. And it's a tool. Also, don't get me started on the fact that it's not going away. So we can just take a back seat. I've heard many people like, I don't want to get into it. I don't want the government knowing my information. I hear that one a lot. Does that really matter when you're trying to come up with business ideas? Like, think about the big picture here. AI is coming. These companies that rule the world are investing billions in it. And only 4% of them right now are using it. Fast forward to when they start really using it. Are they going to need people to know how to talk to robots? Think of it that way. Start communicating with a robot. Replace Google. Don't Google anymore. Put it right into Bing. Bing is ChatGPT. Bing is GPT-4 technology that also combines the internet. When you're in ChatGPT, it doesn't always have the internet. It does now. And this is another thing. It makes it very hard for someone with ADHD to explain AI because it's Microsoft. Huge deal. It means the New York Times information was used in training the large language model. Because what a large language model is, it's like, think of it as it's this program that's trained on data. But it's not just trained on data. It's trained on all the data that ever was. Okay? You don't have to, it like combs the internet. It literally has trillions of parameters. Its capabilities are insane if you're using it and you ask it questions. But my point is, everyone's using it wrong. So just get not everyone, but you have to start a conversation. You don't have to copy and paste other people's prompts. People are starting whole businesses, and it's really big in marketing. Something that I do is I make AI art through Midjourney and DALL-E, and I also use a large language model on the daily basis. And you can really see once you start using it, how the marketing field is changing completely. If people are not using generative AI in marketing, they might as well stop now. They might as well just call it a day. And I'm so sorry to say that. If people are, and that's intimidating to people. Think of people, right? So I don't have this big bad family and people in my life who are taking away my attention. Can you imagine people who are business professionals and then have to deal with all the interpersonal relationships going on? Where's the bandwidth to study? I don't know. I don't know where it is, but they have to find it. And they don't have to. But if they want to be successful through this next stage of our evolution, it's just very important you start asking all the questions that pop into your beautiful brain into a large language model. It's going, and it speaks to you. It's audio. My app version of ChatGPT, I ask the question, I press the button, I ask the question, and it spits back to me all the information that I ever need about any subject. Do I fact check it in Google before I come on? Yes, that 300,000 number, I fact check, because sometimes AI models can hallucinate. You ask them too many questions or they get confused and they hallucinate. So I think I've convinced you by this point to just download ChatGPT and Bing on your phone. Bing has GPT-4 technology, which is the strongest and the fastest. Free version of ChatGPT is GPT 3.5, which is not as strong and fast, but it really doesn't matter because they're all strong and fast. So don't get caught up in the semantics of all of it. Just get something on your phone and start asking it questions. Like in the beginning, when I was using that other random app, I was like, are you powered by ChatGPT? And it was like, no, we use large language model technology. So there's a million there and everyone is selling them. It's fine. You can have one of them. But I do suggest start with ChatGPT. And Google Bard is a new one now. They're renaming themselves Gemini. They're free too, and they have a pro version. If you feel like I don't watch television. The money that I would spend on Netflix is what I spend on ChatGPT. It's a little more. It's $21 a month, and I get the pro version, which allows me to create images too. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm looking at the messages, and I feel the love, and I so appreciate your receptiveness to what I'm talking about today, because I'm not necessarily here. I mean, this is fun knowing. It's really fun for someone like me who's always wanted to make a name for herself, knowing more about things than other people know. It's very fun. But I'll tell you this. It's not necessarily because of me wanting to make a name for myself. That will be a byproduct. It's because I got the message from the universe that I have to teach this to people. So because I'm nice and I'm cool and fun and interesting, because I'm all of those things, people will want to listen and they'll understand that you'll take away from this. Okay, I'm going to download this app and I'm going to start talking to the large language model. The thing with the large language model is you can't just ask it one question and set it and forget it. Basically, what I do, my process is I write really long Instagram captions. You know that I have a very strong, by now you know that I understand neurodivergence and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I also understand the capabilities of AI. But as I use AI, I'm noticing that it was definitely programmed by men. So, and I'll get into that a little bit more. And this is, it's as I make AI art, and I ask it to portray a woman, it keeps over sexualizing the women that come out. So I tried to make a woman, I put a photo of myself in, and I was dressed just like this. And I said, create an image of a woman who is in a cartoon. It's a cartoon image and she looks like this. And she loves teaching AI. I wanted to do it for my flyer, right? The flyer, my presentation. And it came out with a woman that looked like the most ridiculous supermodel. The waist literally was this big. It is not reflective. And then I asked ChatGPT, I was like, why do you do that? Why do you over-sexualize women? Why does everyone always reflect the white beauty standards when I'm asking you to create people? And what it told me is very profound. It's basically said, your culture, your humanity, your people are racist and biased. And it didn't say it in that words, but it said that you have a lot of biases that in the data that these large language models are trained on, because our culture is biased. Right? Like, so it's like reflecting back at us. So I'm not mad at the AI that it made me look so ridiculous. I'm not mad at it. I'm not even mad that it doesn't portray people of all colors and races very well, because it's still learning. And we know that, especially when you're making an ad. I was making a watch ad. It was a mock ad. I was just playing around with to see its capabilities. And I wanted to put someone glamorous, but I actually went for an older woman with a bigger frame and a walker. And like that's what I thought in my head. I was like, what would be the least likely person to be picked to be a model to advertise a watch? And then what I did was I played around with like the inclusivity of AI. Is it able to do it, or does it hallucinate? And sometimes it hallucinates because we have an unbiased social structure. We have a biased social structure. It's going to reflect that. Another thing I want you to be aware of in the workforce is that AI, many recruiters use AI, and I didn't at that point. We didn't have the technology. But if you think about it, when you're filtering through all the resumes, people with resume gaps in their resume, people who are neurodivergent, people who have left for parental reasons or family reasons, they're not going to show up in your job search when you're combing the internet for resumes, because the ideal candidate, according to our society, does not have a break in their resume. Another thing you have to think about is, like, Steve Jobs dropped out of college. AI would not have hired him. He would not have been found. He would have not have been hired if you were using your typical recruiter ways of just combing the internet, right? So you have to think about these things, that they're going to reflect back the biases. So as a DEI professional, I see this as a huge opportunity. Does anyone else see this as an opportunity? If more good-hearted people start using ChatGPT, right? If we have a lot of DEI professionals and people who are humanists and people who really do want to see an equitable future, if we start using it on the regular and just become acquainted, two things are going to happen. You're going to get ideas to start businesses you didn't even think you could start. I ask on a daily basis. I ask about e-commerce, drop shipping. I make AI art now. I might want to put it on t-shirts and sell it. How do I do that? I don't know. I'm just going to ask my assistant. So it's so much easier to, and when I say it's in depth, it gives you steps, and then you take step one. This is called the refining process. So you ask it a question. Jordan Wilson talks about, he has a free course on this. It's called Prime, Prompt, Polish. And when you prime it, you're telling the AI what you want it to do. You're telling the GPT, this is what I want you to do. Or you can sometimes say, you are an educator in the field of neuroscience. You have read this book, that book. I don't know all the neuroscience books, but put all the neuroscience books that you read into it, and you prime it with the information you want to prime it with. Then you ask the question, and then you polish. The prompt is the middle, and the polish part, you don't just stop there. You don't get your answer. Then it comes out with an outline of probably about 10 different steps. Then you start at step one. Okay, step one looks great. Can you give me a further explanation of step one and ways I can implement it? You're going to be so impressed with its capabilities that you'll never want AI taken away from us. You're going to start saying, please, governments, start making regulations and make it safe for people. You're going to be begging for that. You're going to be hoping that it never gets taken away. But if it does, whatever, I still have an HR degree, right? I'll make it work somehow. I'll be a motivational speaker on why you should follow your heart and your energy. Step three, I don't know. I have ADHD. I don't remember what my step three is. But the point of this is just start using it. Just start using it. There are pros and cons. The cons are going to affect us globally, and we don't know what they are yet. So when people speculate what they might be, when people use it as an excuse to not pick up AI, they're doing themselves a disservice, and they're doing their entire family a disservice, because we know the people who are going to use it for nefarious, is that even a word? Nefarious, for bad. We know the people who are going to use it for bad are out there doing it already. Okay. They do it with everything. There's scammers in every aspect of the world, right? Why should this be any different? We just accept it and move on. We don't use banks because there's identity. We don't stop using banks because there's identity fraud. Why would we not use AI because people are making deep fakes? It doesn't matter. I personally don't watch television because I protect my energy very much. And one of the ways I was able to unlearn my racism was to stop watching television. And I was also able to not compare myself to other people's lives because a lot of people get very upset if they're not in a major relationship or have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or if they don't have kids, or if they have kids, or if they don't have a dog, if other people have a dog, and you're going to go crazy. It doesn't matter. What does it matter? My 3 lessons that I've learned in life right now, my 3 most important lessons I'm going to give to you before I close today. And then I'm going to do my little song. I even might pull out my ukulele. I don't know how it'll come out on the audio with my ear pods, but 3 things. Niche down your AI. There's 80,000 applications of AI. There's ones that do text to text. It generates awesome text from like a prompt. There's ones that do text to pictures. Beautiful, beautiful art. And there's ones that do text to video, which is so cool. And they're making movies using it. You don't have to worry about text to video. I mean, if you're going to start an advertising agency, maybe, cool, fine, you can get into that. Don't start there. I started there. I'm a content creator. I'm like, how do I do everything? 4 courses later, I've only finished 1 so far. I'm through it all, but I listen to Everyday AI every day. So I cannot plug Jordan Wilson enough. He is amazing. One other person I want to give you, Laura Dumin, Dumin. She was on the podcast with Everyday AI. It's episode 188 on Spotify and probably all of the other podcasts. So it's episode 188. You can find it anywhere on Everyday AI. And Laura works for the University of Central Oklahoma. And she is using it as a professor with her students. She's setting up guidelines for them. She's telling them things like they can use it in parts of their, they can use it, for example, they can use it in 40% of their outline. And then she wants it highlighted. She wants to see where they're using it. And then they have a discussion. So AI is going to change. I'm not in higher education as of yet, but it's going to change the way we do things. The reason it's going to change the way we do things is because if your students are writing papers on this stuff and handing it in, and you're focusing on, I have to prove if ChatGPT, like the ChatGPT they have websites that check to see if it was designed by a large language model. You're going to waste your time doing that. They're ineffective. They've been proven not to really work. I think there's a study, OpenAI said like a very small percentage of it actually works. So you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to prove someone wrong. You cheated. No, have a conversation with your student. Do they have working knowledge of it? So if they wrote their paper using ChatGPT and they understand the content, bravo to them, right? But you see how as educators, it's going to change things. It's going to change things up. You're not going to be able to just like mark off with the red pen anymore. It's going to be a different way of doing things. And just like I say in all things diversity and inclusion, your students should be part of this process. They should help you make these guidelines. They should understand that they're being a part of history. And how exciting is that? And then you all make the guidelines together and you can discuss what is fair, what isn't, what are you able to do? And then you'll find that I would just say, I am probably about 4 times smarter than I was 2 months ago. AI has changed my life. It's expansive. It is insane the amount of information I'm able to take in. And you would think with ADHD, it's too much, but I'm really good with hyper focus. And I have a passion for this. So I'm able to take in more. And also, I am currently only singing for income. So, which is great, which is really fun. But I have the time to spend on this. So that's why I want to give this information out to the world so you don't have to. It would be torture for you to have to sit and listen to as many podcasts as I have, but I love it. So let my passion inspire you to just learn a little and don't let it intimidate you, because it's easy as an app and asking a question on the app. So back to the 3 things. Niche down your AI. Niche it down. Start somewhere and just start with a little bit. Okay, this is one that I just learned recently. Don't don't have your motivation be to prove someone wrong. As a DEI professional and someone who learned about herself through anti-racist courses, all I ever wanted to do was prove people wrong. I was an activist for a really long time. It wasn't a really long time, no, but it was an angry time in my life. And what happened was I was so angry about the way the world was, I wasn't doing anything to change it and better it. So don't have your intention be to prove other people wrong. And don't try to be somebody else. This comparison culture stuff, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. We have to stop somewhere, and we can just stop by saying, I'm going to be myself, and that's okay. I purposely refer back to my neurodivergence and my ADHD. I wear it like a badge of honor. I purposely talk about that I had infertility issues and that I had horrible eating disorders growing up, like ridiculous, like bulimia, right? Like I was so obsessed with being perfect. I eventually turned around and I was like, who wrote the book on what perfect is? And why am I letting them dictate it to me? And then there was anger associated with it, but it doesn't matter. Once you move through that anger, and meditation can help you, you can find your passion. It doesn't have to be AI, but AI will help you make that passion into a business. Okay. So I think I said everything that I wanted to say, or mostly everything. I'm going to pull out my ukulele. This is going to be fun. First time ever live performance. I know 4 chords, and I absolutely... Oh, we got a tune here. I feel so cool when I get to tune an instrument. So a little background on me is I've been a singer my whole life. I'm a trained singer, but I never ever was able to learn an instrument. I cannot stand playing instruments, honestly. And during the pandemic, why won't you? Oh, there. That's what happened. During the pandemic, I'm going the wrong way. During the pandemic, I got a ukulele. It's really cute. It looks like a guitar, but it's not. Guitars are hard, and they're really hard to like make your fingers work. So ukulele is nice and easy. Okay, ready? In a world full of suits and ties, I used to strive, chasing profits and climbing ladders to survive. Here we go. And then a light awakened deep within my soul. I saw a different path, a new way to be whole. I don't fit in the workforce. I've found my own way beyond the capitalist narrative, where profits don't hold sway. Oh no, there is more to life and business than just the bottom line. I have found my higher purpose. It's time to redefine, It's like watching your kid play an instrument, right? With a good voice. I love it. I practice when I need to turn my brain off from going so many miles a minute. So I'm so blessed to have music in my life. I have an amazing music partner. And if you want to follow my music too, you can find me at Chrissy, this is Instagram now. My Instagram handle is Chrissy B Zen. So it's CHRISSY, then the letter B, and then Zen. Z as in Zach, E, and then N as in Nancy. And honestly, that's what I'm about. I think you have a good idea. I'm willing to take any and all questions and comments. Thank you so much for the love, man. I so appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am, for your detailed speech on the topic AI literacy and for your enthralling song. We enjoyed it. So thank you. And now the dais is open for discussion. So I request participants, if you have related questions, please come with it. Participants.
Thank you so much. I'm reading all of the comments.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hi.
Vishakha this side. What a lovely presentation and an equally lovely song. Lovely lyrics also. So love the session and I really am curious about the octopus movement that you mentioned. Would love to know more about it.
This man Perry had a vision where he calls it the human mycelium. If you know anything about mycelium in the trees and mushrooms and stuff, like it just grows organically and trees speak to each other telepathically. And he had this idea that he uses LinkedIn predominantly. It's a lot of word of mouth. I'm actually going to be on the Octopus Movement podcast a little later today. You can find everything you need to know on LinkedIn, theoctopusmovement.org. Perry is currently making a documentary right now called the Beauty Between Thoughts, about meditation and just about his amazing story. He is based in the Netherlands, and it is a global community of nonlinear thinkers. It is open to all because everybody is a nonlinear thinker. A lot of us shut it off because the workforce is set up and our educational system is set up for linear thinkers. So we have a bunch of think tanks where we just hash out all different global issues. Today, we're going to be talking about education. We have a think tank on education. We use AI, most of us. A lot of us have podcasts and we're creators and we creative. We're an online community that supports each other and nonlinear thinking. It's a very inclusive community, and it has meant the world to me. So I recently joined as a founding member. It was a small membership fee. I am so happy to be a part of the community. It's changed everything in the way I see the world. So there's a wealth of information on the website and on the LinkedIn, and you can find out more about joining. There's a million ways to participate, and there's partnerships with it's a nonprofit organization. There's partnerships with different organizations. There's so many different ways to participate and be an advocate for this humanist movement. And a lot of us are using AI to help bring our visions to fruition. It's so cool. It's a great movement. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Those are my influential Everyday AI, Jordan Wilson, and the Octopus Movement. And if you're not, and Anya is a big friend of mine. So if you're not following Anya, what she's doing with energy and consulting is amazing. That she found a way to marry my two. I do love business and I love HR, but the HR that's being practiced is not the HR that I signed up for. It is not for me. So I want to be part of the group of people who are creating a better future. So my goal one day is to have a business, a collaborative business where I have a bunch of people who are very diverse from all corners of the world running the business. We run it together, and we'll be able to understand how people coming into the business, or whatever it is, probably some kind of consulting or AI education, what we'll do is we'll be able to have different viewpoints and be that much stronger. But that's not really happening in the workforce that I've been exposed to. And the statistics do not prove that it's happening. So what I just wanted to stop. I wanted to stop pointing fingers and saying, you're wrong, you're shameful, you're wrong. I don't want to do that. I want to be the change that I want to see. And that's the only thing that made sense to me anymore, because I do have love for everybody, even the people. I've come to the place, even the people who are oppressing other people. I don't think they're happy. I know they're not happy. I know they're not tapped into the source that I'm able to tap into on a regular basis. So I have empathy and compassion for them. And I know that they're wreaking havoc in this world. I know that they're killing people. I understand that. And that is so sad and unfortunate. But me yelling at them is not going to change things. But my energy and putting my love out into the world and proving how strong and inclusive company culture can be will be monumental, because it'll pave the way for others. And there are businesses out there doing it. I mean, I learned a lot about Patagonia when I was in grad school. Zappos was one that, like, you have these case studies of companies that really did practice inclusion and it worked out for them, and they worked on their company culture. I truly believe your company culture is everything. Why even have a business? I'm not in it for the money. I don't need a yacht. I love everything I have, and I know abundance is on its way and here now, and just it's in the universe's hands for me. I've taken my hands off the wheel, and my mission right now is to spread the love of AI and make people aware of the biases and how we can come together and mitigate the biases, because we have an opportunity. AI is not biased. I know it is because it's programmed on humans. It isn't. It's not emotionally driven. We're emotionally. Can't you see that that's the most beautiful marriage collaboration ever? Emotional and non-emotional. It's beautiful, because those people who are wreaking havoc in the world right now and acting from an ego standpoint, they're not collaborating with many people. They don't get to feel that, what it feels like to create something out of love as opposed to create something out of fear. It's a whole different ballgame. See that? Well,
Yes, sir. Yes. Happy to connect here.
excellent. I will send you my links, and I see everyone's links in here. That's amazing. Excellent.
Madam, one question is there asking for that information. Madam.
What is the question?
How should work with for daily life AI literary?
AI helps me in daily life. For example, I have the voice command in my car, and when I was first diagnosed with ADHD, I wanted to learn more about it, and I conversationally asked it to tell me why neurodivergents are so drawn to AI. Right? I did. So I ask it questions throughout my entire day, and then it reads it back to me, voice command. So I'm able to drive and learn at the same time, which is important to me, because I love learning. I'm always listening to audiobooks or podcasts or talking with chat. But the other day, I had salmon in the house and I wanted to make this fish and I didn't have many ingredients and I really don't know how long to cook salmon. So instead of looking for a Google recipe that's going to have a million ads on it and I'm going to have to sift through things, I told ChatGPT that I had salmon, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, butter. I said, I have all these things. Can you make a recipe for me for salmon? And it told me everything to do. And it told me exactly how long to cook it. It came out delicious. It was perfect. So you can use it for things you wouldn't even realize, like writing songs, right? So my favorite part is that part of my life is sharing my music and my stuff with the world. And I don't want to always have to think of Instagram captions and hashtags. So I ask it, I say, I type in what I want to say about the picture I'm posting or the video. And I say, can you make this into an Instagram caption? Please add relevant hashtags and optimize it. Optimize it to go viral. I don't know. I say things like that all the time. I don't go viral, but I don't care. But that I always try to get the best outcome. And you learn to talk. If you learn to talk to it, and just listening to the podcast every day, will help you. But there is a lot of technical jargon. You just sift through it. You know, if you listen to something long enough, you start to pick up on the language. I never thought I'd be saying LLM, large language model, and generative AI, and I throw these terms around like everyone knows them, but I know them so well because I hear it every day. That's the way you immerse yourself in things. So it could be used to learn about any passion you have. I use it for ukulele. You know, like what are the chords for the Beatles tune a day, you know, a day in the life or whatever. And it comes up. I don't have to search a YouTube video. And you know, I used to search YouTube videos for my music to find the different chords. And now it just gives them to me. It's amazing. Oh, you also can, I think this is in Google Bard. You can put full videos, YouTube videos in. You copy and paste the YouTube video into it, the link, and then it summarizes it for you. Come on. Who doesn't need that? I mean, that's amazing. And now you have a video and like the highlights of the video to refer back to. It's very cool.
How should work in global marketing with Chat GPT work with AI literally?
It will be. I'm not exactly sure how to implement it yet. Only 4%. You know where you're going to really see it? You're seeing it with everyday workers. They're having it do their spreadsheets. They're having it analyze the data. If you can really understand the ramifications of that, in the future, we're going to need less people who are doing that. So you might need you might have 40 accountants on staff. You're going to maybe need 3 to work with AI. So the companies have not shifted to AI yet. They're afraid. They don't even know how to do it. Most business, Fortune 500 people, they don't even understand large language models the way I do. I'm not trying to make myself sound so super cool, but when you realize they're investing billions and only 4% of the companies are utilizing AI, if more people were utilizing AI right now, we wouldn't have jobs. It has to happen slowly, and governments are going to have to step in to, you know, in the world of AI, they talk about things like universal basic income, universal health care. These are things that they...
Yes, sir. I just have a simple question, madam. Thank you for your lecture, first of all. Actually, it's related with academics. I mean, nowadays, students are using Chat GPT off and on. I mean, if you give them some assignment, they'll work on it, but not they won't put that much hard work. But they just go to Chat GPT. So, is there any software which can be can be used to check that how much percentage have the student used that or something like that, so that we can maintain the authenticity and credibility of academics? I mean, it's somehow somewhere thread to that. Yeah, ma'am.
There is. It's been proven ineffective. OpenAI has, I don't know the exact name of it. It's a detector, a GPT detector, right? You could just Google that, right? Try to find one. I would suggest asking Bing, right? I would personally, if I'm an educator, I would ask the large language model, how can I detect when students are using it? But this is what I want you to think about. They're also, as a society, how we're going to change our way of teaching. And that, for me, that makes sense. Like actual having conversations in or a back and forth dialogue, if it's virtual learning, on the students' understanding of these topics. And it is so far down the road. I know we do not have the infrastructure for that right now, and we have to actually teach people right now. But the truth of the matter is, most of the people using, I have some good statistics for you, but most of the people using large language models are younger. So they're going to grow up using it. They're going to be so much smarter than you could ever imagine. They might now be cheating.
Right.
The overall, I mean, when people cheat, they don't learn the content, and they're really doing themselves a disservice. So this is a larger question. This is a question where you think about the fact that you can't even learn AI the way I just taught it in universities. I have to teach universities how to use AI and understand. They don't know. No, but and because younger people are learning it without all the stressors of the world on their back, right? And then you got adults. We're like, what? I can't learn this. Are you crazy? That's why I urge you to just start asking all your questions to ChatGPT or Bing or Copilot. I urge you, because then you'll understand how and why they're using it and how you can come up with guidelines with them. You can work with your students and say, hey, I know you're using it. But some teachers do have their students highlight, like they have them when they hand in a paper, they could only use about 30 to 40% that is generated from ChatGPT, and they're asked to highlight it. So it's kind of like an honor system, and it has to go with the relationship you do have with your students. And then you have to understand that if your student is constantly using ChatGPT to write its papers, that it's not going to get the content that it needs for the world to be successful. And that's their sole path. That's you can't stop people from cheating or being scammers. If that's where they're going with it, that's where they're going.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody else with any more question, please? I think now there is not any question. The keynote speech was very illustrative. Vishaka ma'am, Rashi ma'am, and Sharon sir have asked the questions, because of which we got added knowledge through the answers. Now, after this fruitful question answer session, I would like to invite Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar sir for his closing words. Please, sir.
Thank you, Professor Karan sir.
Welcome.
From more than 1 hour, we are listening to our respected resource person, Chrissy ma'am, not only about her contribution about AI or opinion about AI. We have learned so many things from her childhood to till the moment. She does yoga in corona period and she started to that and become energetic. After that, she also loves music and to play that instrument as she have the song just here. So with the study, running all the programs, attending all the courses, and especially doing something work to know about the AI. I think it is her hobby that everyone should be perfect in AI, and she's, I think, doing such a mission to know about AI to all users how it is useful also. So everything you have given within one this session. In future also you will be welcome for another your speech. We will also wait. And also I have that instrument with me, but no one is giving me idea how to play it. So in future I will take your guidance for a few minutes. When you have time, I will start playing that. I not able to play right you, but just I will try to stick that string only with your cooperation. Thank you. Thank you, and very nice to listen all you for this hour. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being engaged. Thank you for being you. I
Just
so
wait,
appreciate
just
you.
wait for formal vote of thanks from our organizing committee. Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
madam.
Thank
Very
you,
much.
sir, for your closing speech. Now I am here for vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Honorable Chrissy ma'am for her precious time and precious lecture on the topic AI literacy and enthralling song which she has sung for all of us. Thank you, ma'am. We enjoyed it very well. I also thank Chief Organizer, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Betkar sir, for his continuous efforts to conduct webinars, national and international, and also conferences for all of us delegates, students, researchers. So thank you, sir. And I thank all the participants for their kind cooperation in webinars and international conferences. I request participants, please fill feedback link which has been posted in the chat box to have your certificates. And at the end, with the kind permission of chairperson, I declare here that today's international e-conference is over. Thanks to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christy ma'am.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing everyone again.
Again, we will meet you again. Okay, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Namaste, Pradhan sir.